Hello, laddies. Top of the morning to you. Wait, is that my thing? No. What's mine? Good morning, imaginary internet friends. I'm Mild Kratz. This is my first video, and it's literally top of the morning. It's like 3 in the morning. I have no idea why I've decided this is the best time for me to launch my channel. I'm very low on sleep, very low on intelligence right now, but that's just how I decide to do everything. So, cool. Let's get started. We're gonna start with a game called Oceanhorn. It's an indie title I found like 3 days ago, and I have no idea what it is. It looks like Legend of Zelda, and as you'll find out, it plays like Legend of Zelda. Let's take a look. Let's get mild. Okay, so let's start by being informational here, so at the very least you can say you've learned something. Oceanhorn, monster of Uncharted Seas, has a stupid name. Well, I guess that was technically more of an opinion. Let's try this again. Oceanhorn, Monster of Uncharted Seas is an action-based puzzle-adventure game that was originally released in November of 2013 as a mobile game and later moved to more advanced systems. The story follows a young kid, most often referred to as Kid, as he sets out to find his father who went missing searching for the legendary monster, Oceanhorn. So, yeah, the game isn't named after its princess. It's named after one of its primary antagonists, a big sea monster thing. That much is admittedly different. The old man, who is filling in for your uncle, or even just the old man from the original Legend of Zelda, serves as your guide through Tutorial Island and gives you a few more story details in the form of a Wind Waker-esque mosaic. He tells you that the people of these islands a long time ago used to be known as the Arcadians, and they were magical gnomish engineers who built fantastical contraptions, or something like that. Then a dark lord named Mesmeroth, who was a promising candidate for Archmage, I guess, decided to summon forth some giant evil monster named Triloth to kill everyone, and yada yada yada. So, there's your story. Pretty standard affair. You need to go from island to island helping people do things they refuse to do for themselves and taking back the islands of Arcadia. It may not be completely original, but it's something, and it gives me a reason to swing my sword at stuff, so I'm on board. If things haven't at all started to sound familiar yet, here's where they might start. You begin this game with a spiritual guide informing you need to get a sword. In this case, it's your mother's necklace, at least until the point the old man promises to stay in touch using a seashell-shaped cell phone. That was fun to say. So you dive into a cave and fight some enemies that should seem a bit familiar, while tackling some puzzles that feel eerily reminiscent, and eventually make your way to your sword, which is in a chest that looks like this, and opens like so. Oh, and by the way, all the while you are throwing pots and fighting the cousins of some enemies you are already intimately familiar with. I couldn't find the names of these enemies, so I might as well give them the names I would have picked. You mainly have Half Spider from the Skull Gang, Bird Guy, Jelly Cactus, Rat Slug, and Steve, with the occasional visit from Steve's older brother, Greg. Oh, and I think there was a bat or two in there as well. I would probably just call those bats. Perhaps with the exception of Greg, none of these characters offer that significant of a challenge and can pretty handily be dispatched with your sword. Or a tree branch, or whatever you happen to have on you at the time. Maybe the occasional bomb. They do their jobs as enemies, which in this case means mindlessly wandering about the map waiting for you to kill them. And they do their job pretty well, but you can put down your quill and inkwell, as they're really nothing to write home about. The puzzles in this game, too, tend to lack inspiration and are largely solved by pushing blocks around and, when necessary, resetting the blocks to their original position. At least as far as I've made it into the game, that's about all I've come across, so I'll just leave it at that. They're just slightly too routine to add much challenge to the game. The remaining portion of the game involves sailing from island to island, meeting NPC characters, and hitting the shops. So, it's a pretty ordinary RPG affair from that point on. I will say that the sailing element of this game succeeds in being fun despite being an on-rails experience that leaves the player with nothing to do but have a look around initially. After a little progress into your adventure, you will get the seed gun, which adds a shooting game element to the sailing, which would otherwise basically serve as a loading bar. It turns sailing into something to look forward to and offers opportunity to gather a few extra coins and experience points, and I give that a figurative thumbs up because during this part of the video, I have no thumbs. Let me conclude my thoughts on this game with the things it's doing pitch perfectly. I must say that in some ways, I think this game has improved upon the Zelda formula. The simple fact that I don't hear a Pavlovian chime every time I do something right is a welcomed addition to the game. Additionally, the fact that no one in the game is directly pointing me in any particular direction offers me an authentic feeling of adventure. You know, it's almost like you don't need a stupid wise owl character to recap everything you've just learned and flash a neon sign pointing you in the way of your next objective. Nor do you need an annoying firefly in your pocket regurgitating all this information should you stray 5 feet off the path. I think a lot of what made Oceanhorn an enjoyable experience for me was wondering whether or not I was making any progress at all. The minimal information I had, along with the grand overarching objective of saving my dad and fighting a giant mechanical sea monster and the wizard holding its leash, was already enough to keep me playing. Also, the character was right-handed and wasn't wearing a kind of cool, kind of silly Victorian-era nightcap, so that made him feel a little more relatable to me. Okay, I like Link, I really do, but the guy has some pretty questionable fashion taste sometimes. It's okay to admit that. All in all, I like this game, and I'm excited that they've set out to make a sequel using the Unreal Engine that already looks 10 times more beautiful. I wish that they would go for a more novel approach to some of their enemies and reconsider the things like cutting grass and throwing pots to make your living, but it didn't ruin the game for me either. Seed gun to my head, I give this game 14 out of a possible 16 Steves. So that was Oceanhorn, and more importantly, that was my first video. If you enjoyed it all, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll be sure to get out more content. If you didn't, make sure to leave some kind of hateful, mean comment down in the comment section. Either way, I'm glad you watched the video, and I hope you'll come back. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.